What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut. And today we are going to be looking at part 2 of the Eric Lindros trade. Now this is going to focus on what the Quebec Nordiques / Colorado Avalanche would get in return for the superstar. Now this trade did occur on June 30th, 1992 and was between the Philadelphia Flyers and Quebec Nordiques / Colorado Avalanche. To make things easier, we did refer to them as Colorado because they did move to Colorado when a lot of these assets were still a part of the team. So it's just easier to say Colorado. We've discussed this in a previous video. Anyway, though, this trade was massive. And like I said in the video a couple days ago when I discussed the Flyers haul, it would have taken probably an hour to just do this one video if I kept it all together. So I did break it up into multiple different trades. This part, like I said, is going to focus on just what the Nordiques got. Now, the original trade saw the Flyers acquire center Eric Lindros from the Quebec Nordiques franchise in exchange for 8 assets. How did those assets do in Quebec? The first one we will look at is center Peter Forsberg. Now, Forsberg, he was so good that he deserved to be the thumbnail of this video. He was solid in his first year as a rookie, but he really broke out during the 95-96 campaign when he scored 30 goals with 86 assists. Now, he did have a career high in goals, assists, and points that year with 116 points. Now, the 96-97 season was also solid. He scored 86 points. He had 91 points the following season, and he was the cover of NHL 98, the video game. Now, in the 98-99 season, he scored 97 points. Now, in the 99-2000 season, he did have a bit of an off year due to a few different things. He only had 51 points, but he rebounded a bit, and in the 2000-2001 season, he scored 89 points. Now, during the playoffs this year, he had to have his spleen removed. This obviously caused him to miss the remainder of the playoffs and the entirety of the 2001-2002 season as a team, and of course, the team doctors thought that his long-term health was more important than rushing back on the ice. Now, he returned to the league with a dominant season in 2002-2003. Now, this season saw him lead the league in assists with 77, points with 106, and plus-minus ratio with a plus 53. As a result, he won the league MVP. Now, he did regress slightly in the 03-04 campaign, providing only 55 points. After this, he did walk from the team. However, he left his impact on the franchise. He won 2 Stanley Cups. He was a 1-time MVP winner. He was a 1-time Rookie of the Year. He was a 7-time All-Star. And he is currently in the Hall of Fame, mostly due to what he did, basically entirely based on what he did in Colorado / Quebec. And he has 755 points for the franchise. So that's a massive haul in and of himself. What else did this team get in return? The next player we'll look at is defenseman Steve Duchesne. Now, he had a career year in Quebec, providing 82 points before being traded. Now, he was a 1-time All-Star, and he gets traded alongside another player for 3 players to the St. Louis Blues. So, the first one we'll look at is center Bob Basson. In Basson, over a year and a half, he was solid. He provided 23 goals with 23 assists with good defense, but then he would walk as a free agent. The next player was defenseman Garth Butcher. In Butcher, he had 3 goals to go with 9 assists over a half season before being traded. Now, he was traded alongside one of the draft picks that we're going to get to at some point soon, so we will get to him shortly. I just don't want to jump the gun. I want to discuss the draft pick I want to discuss him with the draft pick. And lastly, we have center Ron Suter. And Suter, he had 9 goals with 13 assists in a half season before walking as a free agent. So next, in the original trade, the Quebec Nordiques / Colorado Avalanche also got goaltender Ron Hextall. And Hextall, he went 29, 16, and 5 in a single season with the team. He looked good in the postseason as well. Now, he ends up getting traded as Quebec could not protect him in the expansion draft. So he's traded to the New York Islanders alongside a draft pick in exchange for a goalie and a draft pick. So Colorado, we'll call him, got goaltender Mark Fitzpatrick here. And Fitzpatrick, he never played for the team as he ends up getting picked in the expansion draft. Essentially, the Islanders, they wanted Hextall because they were going to protect him. Quebec couldn't. They said, you know what, we'll take the worst player and we'll jump up in the first round. So they also got a 1993 first-round pick, and that pick would become the 14th overall selection. With that, they would select right wing Adam Deadmarsh. And Deadmarsh, he was decent. So he spent a solid 6.5 years in the NHL for the team. Over that time, he played 453 games and he recorded 138 goals and 150 assists. Now, he would end up getting traded away with a couple other assets to the LA Kings in exchange for a pair of players. The first one we'll look at is defenseman Rob Blake. Now, Blake, he provided 10 points in 13 games in his first half year on the team. And then he would ink an extension. And over the next 4 years, Rob Blake would score 60 goals and 138 assists over 309 games. He would walk after that contract expired, though. Now, he did make the Hall of Fame as a player, but it was mostly due to what he did in LA, but still, his time in Colorado more than helped him out as well. So he was a 3-time All-Star for the team. Now, they also got center Steven Reinprich. And Reinprich, he scored 104 points in 2.5 years before he himself was traded to the Buffalo Sabres straight up for defenseman Keith Ballard. And Ballard, he ends up getting traded away before making his NHL debut. Now, this is going to be the first one where we break off. This will get its own separate video. This will be discussed in a future Paul Stastny trade. So stay tuned for that. But now we are back to the original trade with the Flyers. And the Nordiques/Avalanche also got defenseman Kerry Huffman. And Huffman, he was okay. He would score 4 goals to go with 24 assists in a season and a half before he was waived. Next, they also got center Mike Rickey. And Rickey was a solid defensive-minded center for 5.5 years for the organization. He scored 91 goals and 137 assists. However, he would also end up getting traded to the San Jose Sharks in exchange for 2 assets. The first one was a 1998 first-round pick. This would be the 12th overall selection, and with that, they would select center Alex Tanguay, and he had a solid 6-year tenure for the franchise, but he did struggle a bit in the playoffs. He scored 400 points in 450 games before he himself was traded, but he was a one-time All-Star for the team. He was traded to Calgary for 3 assets, the first of which was defenseman Jordan Leopold, and Leopold had 13 goals with 25 assists over 2.5 years with the team. He had decent defensive stats as well before he was traded back to Calgary in exchange for 3 assets, the first of which was defenseman Lawrence Nicolet. And Nicolet, he played 5 games but only recorded a single shot on goal. Other than that, nothing else. And then he ends up leaving. They also got defenseman Ryan Wilson, who had 7 goals and 60 assists over 230 games. Defensively speaking, he had 394 hits and 288 blocks before he would walk as a free agent. They also got a 2009 second-round pick. This would become the 49th selection. And with that, they would select defenseman Stefan Elliott, who bounced around between the AHL and the NHL for 4 seasons, recording 18 points over 63 career games at the NHL level before being waived. Now back to the original trade for Tanguay, they also got a pair of draft picks from the Calgary Flames, the first of which was a 2006 second-round pick. This would be the 59th overall selection. With that, they would select center Cody Berkey, who spent a couple of years in the minors before walking. Now lastly, they did get a 2007 second-round pick, the 49th overall selection. With that, they would select goaltender Trevor Cann, who bounced around the minors for a couple of years before being cut. That's a lot, so I do apologize, but we still have more. Now, they also got left wing Chris Simon. And Chris Simon, he provided 56 points over 146 games, but he was more known for his aggressiveness than his goal scoring, as he had 555 penalty minutes in that same time span. Now, he ends up getting traded, and this will be its own video. Now, I do apologize. I did actually skip part of the Alex Tanguay trade. The Colorado Avalanche also got right wing Shane Donovan. And Shane Donovan, he spent parts of 3 years with the team, scoring 13 goals with 19 assists before he himself was traded to the Atlanta Thrashers in exchange for goaltender Rick Tabarasi. And Tabarasi appeared in a pair of games before getting selected and taken away from the team in the 2000 expansion draft. Lastly, we do have 2 more draft picks that the team got from the Flyers, the first of which was a 1993 first-round pick. This would be the 10th overall selection. With that, they would select goaltender Jocelyn Thibault. And Thibault, he spent 2.5 years as the backup goalie for the franchise before being traded. This will also be discussed in a future video, as this would be discussed in the Patrick Waugh trade breakdown, which will be up in the future. Lastly, they got a 1994 first round pick. This would also be the 10th overall pick, and it ends up getting traded away. It will also be discussed in its own future video, as this was traded to acquire Wendell Clark. That was a lot just for the Nordiques, so you can definitely see why I broke this up. We still have to discuss all the other teams, so we're going to start with the St. Louis Blues. Now, the Blues got defenseman Steve Duchesne, along with another player, and Duchesne, he spent 2 years in St. Louis. He had an okay year one, but he had a pretty good second year there. Now, he would end up leaving the team via trade. We will not be discussing that. They also got right wing Dennis Chasse, and Chasse, he would score 10 goals with 10 assists over 92 games before he himself was also traded away, but we will not be discussing that. Next, we have the New York Islanders, who got a pair of assets. The first one, of course, is goaltender Ron Hextall, and Hextall started off cold as the first season began, but he heated up, and he ended the year with respectable numbers. Now, he ends up getting traded away after that single season because the team just thought they didn't need him anymore. We will not be discussing that trade. They also got a 1993 first-round pick, the 23rd overall selection. So essentially, they got Hextall to move back 9 spots in the first round. With the 23rd pick, they would select right wing Todd Bertuzzi. And Bertuzzi, he had 35 goals with 45 assists over 2.5 years with the team before he was also traded away. We will not be discussing that. Next, we have the LA Kings, who got 4 assets, essentially for Rob Blake. The first one we'll look at is right wing Adam Deadmarsh. And Deadmarsh, he spent 2.5 years with the team. He was okay, providing 46 goals across 114 games before he retired. They also got center Jared Allen, who appeared in 17 games over a season before suffering a shoulder injury. Then he would end up getting traded. We will not be discussing that. They also got defenseman Aaron Miller, who had a decent defensive-oriented career for 5.5 years with the Kings. He would only score 7 goals and 40 assists before walking as a free agent. This was an older trade, so unfortunately defensive stats were not tracked. Lastly, the Kings also got a 2001 first-round pick. This would be the 30th overall selection. With that, they would pick center Dave Steckel. And Steckel, he spent some time in the AHL, but he never made it up to the NHL level. Next, we have the Buffalo Sabres, who got center Steven Reinprich. And he ends up getting traded later in the exact same day, so this was a real quick trade. Nothing came of it. We will not be discussing that trade. Next, we have the San Jose Sharks, who got a pair of assets. The first we will look at is center Mike Ritchie. And Ritchie continued to grow defensively over 6.5 years, and he would spend 6.5 years, of course, with the team. He quickly became a fan favorite in San Jose. He did score 101 goals and 162 assists while with the team before walking as a free agent. They also got a second-round pick in the 1998 draft, which would become the 50th overall selection. They would end up trading this away. We will not be discussing that trade. Next, we have the Calgary Flames, who made 2 separate trades with the Colorado Avalanche. The first one was to get center Alex Tanguay. And Tanguay had a strong first year, scoring 81 points across 81 games, but he did struggle in his second year as his playing time got reduced, and he kind of went at it a bit with the coach. Now, he ends up getting traded due to this, and we will not be discussing that. Now, in the original Alex Tanguay trade, they gave up defenseman Jordan Leopold. Clearly, they missed him, so they reacquired him, and it didn't necessarily work out. He only scored 1 goal with 3 assists over 19 games before he was traded away for the second time by the Flames. We will not be discussing that trade. Lastly, we have the Atlanta Thrashers, who got right wing Shane Donovan, and he did decent. He had 22 goals to go with 24 assists over parts of 3 seasons before he himself was traded away. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was, again, definitely a longer video. I do apologize for skipping over Shane Donovan originally, but at least we got back to him. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was, like I said, a longer video. Stay tuned. There will be a lot more parts coming out. Like I said, we're going to have one for Chris Simon. We're going to have one for Patrick Waugh. So it's just going to keep growing and growing. Wendell Clark. Stay tuned. Check out the comments or the description below. I will put the links once the videos are up. This will be linked in those videos. Hope you guys enjoyed this longer trade breakdown. Part 1, what the Flyers got out of Lindros, is already up. It will be linked in the description below as well. Have a good rest of your day.